I have long been obsessed with the delicate threshold between life and death, and with the power of science to trespass into realms that the human mind was never meant to explore, and so I resolved to conduct an experiment on the nature of consciousness at the very instant a man is passing from life to death, a question that had haunted me for years. If a person could be hypnotized at the precise moment their body was succumbing to disease, could their mind linger in a state neither fully alive nor entirely dead? Could the human consciousness, suspended on the razor edge between existence and oblivion, endure beyond the cessation of the body? And to investigate this terrible possibility, I sought out Valdemar, a man slowly wasting away from consumption, whose chest rose and fell in shallow, labored breaths, whose eyes were heavy with fatigue and resignation, whose body seemed to hang precariously between the fragile remnants of life and the absolute nothingness of death, and whose physician had declared that only days or perhaps hours remained, yet he received this news with an eerie calm, neither fear nor resistance, only a strange, knowing acceptance as though he had foreseen the very moment of his demise. And when I explained my experiment to him, he asked, almost with a quiet curiosity rather than dread, "If I die, will I know it?" And I lied to him, telling him perhaps not, though I myself had no certainty as to what the experiment might yield, and on the appointed day the chamber was saturated with a tense and almost unbearable stillness, every tick of the clock magnified into a heavy and insistent presence, the air thick with expectation and anxiety. Doctors and witnesses gathered, their eyes wide with apprehension, and Valdemar lay upon the bed, pale, fragile, his form barely recognizable as human, his lips colorless, his body trembling faintly with the last vestiges of life. And as I commenced the hypnotic induction, my voice low, steady, insistent, drawing him deeper and deeper into a trance, his body gradually fell into an unnatural stillness, a rigidity that fascinated and horrified all present, and soon the doctor confirmed the pulse had vanished, the breath had ceased, and by all medical accounts Valdemar was dead, yet under hypnosis his consciousness clung stubbornly to his body, a presence neither fully alive nor completely extinguished, and when I addressed him, inquiring if he was dead or alive, a voice emerged from the form, a sound neither fully human nor fully natural, a whisper as if emanating from some shadowed chasm beneath the earth, declaring awareness despite death, consciousness imprisoned, suspended upon the edge of oblivion, and as hours turned to days, and days into weeks, his body remained in this suspended state, neither breathing nor showing signs of decay, yet refusing to collapse fully, and whenever questioned, the voice responded with growing anguish, describing a torment beyond words, a liminal existence in which time stretched infinitely, release denied, rest impossible, the air in the chamber growing oppressive, saturated with the scent of decay and the unnatural stillness of suspended life, while the observers' faces paled with horror, some urging that the experiment be stopped, others unable to avert their eyes from the impossible sight, transfixed by the presence of a consciousness neither alive nor dead, until finally a consensus was reached that the hypnotic state must be broken, and as I began the process, the voice shrieked, a sound that was not merely anguish but pure terror, the cry of consciousness released from confinement yet still clinging to the fragile remnants of a corporeal shell, and the instant hypnosis was lifted, Valdemar's body collapsed utterly, the form that had endured weeks of suspended animation crumpling into the inevitability of death, flesh decaying instantly, bones separating as though reclaiming what had been withheld, the room erupting with cries and the hurried retreat of all present, and in that instant I understood fully the peril of tampering with the threshold between life and death, that to delay what nature demands invites horrors beyond comprehension, that some doors, once opened, reveal truths far too dreadful for the human mind, that human curiosity, unchecked, yields not knowledge but terror, for there exist phenomena meant to remain untouched, and meddling with them leaves a lingering unease haunting the observer far longer than death itself, a shadow that follows the mind, whispering the inescapable reality that life and death are not mere beginnings and endings, but a delicate threshold, which once violated exposes the unimaginable, incomprehensible, and terrifying truth that consciousness, under unnatural circumstances, may persist in forms neither the living nor the dead can endure, a truth so dreadful it eludes rational thought, so ghastly that those who witness it carry a shadow upon their minds forever, and this account, written as faithfully as I can, serves not merely as a tale, but as a warning that some realms human hands were never meant to touch, that the delicate machinery of life and death cannot be manipulated without consequence, and when one dares to peer too closely into the mechanics of existence, the result is not understanding or triumph, but a lingering horror, a shadow of knowledge that chills the soul, and a realization that the boundary between life and death is not a line to be crossed, but a threshold to be revered, for in that space consciousness may endure in ways that shatter comprehension, leaving behind terror more enduring than death itself, a shadow that whispers endlessly into the minds of those who witnessed it. And I write these words now with trembling hands, for the memory of what I witnessed refuses to fade, haunting the dark corners of my mind, reminding me that even in the pursuit of knowledge, there exist limits that, when breached, exact a price beyond imagining, a horror that clings not to the body but to the very essence of thought and perception, a lesson in humility in fear, and in the terrible power that lies in the threshold between life and death, a power that once glimpsed cannot be unlearned, and whose echoes linger forever, a warning to any who might dare to cross the same perilous line that I once did, a line that, once breached, leaves observers suspended in a liminal state of understanding and dread that may never be escaped.